Hello all, my name is Piotr and I build RU guitars. Okay, so another moment of truth. I need to unpack this and see how the acetone stuck the binding onto the body. This is going to be fun. Today I'll be scraping the binding off. Well, I'll be scraping the binding flat. And also I will scrape the sides, I think. Because there are differences in level between the binding and the body in places. I need to work on this binding channel cutter a bit. I need to find a different bearing that will give me precisely 1.5 millimeter instead of whatever this is. But yeah, I'll make it work for now. So yeah, let's unpack it. Okay, that's all the tape off now. Let's have a closer look at what it looks like now. So this is the binding. I'm gonna close up, stuck on with acetone. You can see it's melted in multiple places. But to be honest, I can't see any gaps. It seems like it's stuck on well, as far as I can tell so far. It will become more obvious once I start scraping the edge flat with the body. But so far so good, I think. There's at least one place that I found that is suboptimal, and that is here. This edge here. It's not stuck on at all for some reason, and it's not even really straight. So I'm gonna have to do some masking tape magic to keep it in place. But what I noticed, beside this little bit here, is that there are differences in level between the binding and the body, well, the side. And sometimes the binding is sticking out, like it is here, and sometimes it's the body. So I'm gonna have to go around with a scraper and just level it all off. There's some glue residue and where I believe it was melted with acetone and just stuck to the body. But yeah, so quite a bit to do to clean it all up and to level it off. But I will start with scraping the top. I think this is the most rewarding part of this process, is when you scrape the binding off and it's level with the body, with the top, and it actually looks the way it's supposed to look. I'm going to start with a simple flat scraper with rounded off corners. I don't want to dig into the top, but slowly checking how the binding reacts. But yeah, that cuts in nicely. Yeah, I think this scraper will do. I'll just clamp it quickly to the bench so it doesn't move on me. I'll tape off one side of it so that I don't accidentally scrape the top. Yeah, that should be better. It smells really bad because it's, you know, melting the plastic, but it's scraping very nicely. Okay, this section here I'm not going to scrape now because it's not stuck to the body. So this needs to be glued on first. I'm going to use some more acetone to stick this on, and I'll tape it up. But let's carry on scraping for now. I sharpened the scraper on one side only, so I need to move the tape around. Let's have a look at the binding after scraping. This is not perfect, it's not done yet, but just to see how it fits nicely into the binding channel. You can see that scraping across the grain here rips the wood fibers out, so I'm not going to carry on doing that. This will be sanded and will be gone, but I'd rather not do that. So this is how the binding fits. I can't see any gaps except for two. And overall, I'm really happy with the process and with the result. It's stuck on very well. There are no gaps here around the edge. The only two gaps that I found are here at the end. So one is here where it's actually unstuck a little bit, so I'm gonna have to seep some acetone in there and tape it up. And there's this little gap here on the bottom that will need to be filled in, and I will prepare some mixture of acetone and melted plastic to fill it in. I don't want to unglue the binding and just do it again. And the other gap is here, and this is not stuck at all. So this will require some acetone in here and some taping out to hold it down because it wants to stick up. But both places very fixable, I think. And I'm going to start with these two places because to scrape the sides, I want the entire binding stuck on firmly and finally with no places to fix. So let's do that. You can see all those shavings here from scraping. These are perfect for what I need to do here. And I need to melt some of it in the acetone and then apply in the gap so that it dries in and fills the gap. And because it will be mixture of plastic and acetone, it will also melt the actual binding that's still on the body, and it will melt in and it shouldn't be visible. So I'm going to prepare a mixture in here, and I can apply it with a wooden dowel or skewer, I guess. This will be the last thing I do because it will require some serious taping, because it sits nicely in the binding channel now as is, but it's sticking up a bit and that gap is huge. But when I press it down to cover the gap, it just opens up a gap here, so it will need to be taped up. I'll do that first and then we will see. Acetone time again. So I've got the gate open and fan on. It may be a bit loud, so apologies for the noise. What I also need is the syringe with a needle because I need to inject some acetone in there. Actually, I can wear gloves now. I'm not using masking tape anymore. So, binding is starting to fall apart in the acetone, which is great. I just need to keep adding binding pieces until the consistency is correct. And it's thick enough to stay in the gap when I place it there. Let's give it a couple more minutes. It's not eating into the cup, I checked that. It's eating into that binding though. But let's inject some acetone here. I'm not worried about flooding the whole thing with acetone because it just evaporates, so it's not going to do any damage. If there's a lot of it, I would much rather have too much than not enough. This place is tricky as well because taking the neck on and off, putting it on and off will always put the pressure on the binding, so it needs to be stuck on pretty well. Well, not enough. This is just for now, because now I need to add some of that goo. And I think this will do just fine. I think this masking tape is coming off, so I need to add some tape. This is nowhere near the acetone, so this should be stuck on properly, and this will hold it in place and tight. I'll try to wick some more acetone in there. Yep, no, it's not coming in. Perfect. What I need to do now is stick this bit on, and I will use a combination of brush at the end there, because I can reach in, but also the needle and syringe and needle to flood it in here, and then I will tape it up. Yeah, let's do it. So I'm going to inject some acetone first into this corner and then brush on the rest and then tape it up tight. Oops. Oh, actually, I don't think I have to brush it in. It's filled with acetone now, so yeah, that will do. Tape, quick. So yeah, I'm pulling it tight because I want to close the gap, and it will be tricky here. Yeah, because the tape just wants to rip on the concave sections. Okay, and this needs to be taped down as well. So I'm going to do it here. Okay, this should do it. Okay, so this is all taped up. That gap there, just here, I hope it will be gone once it all evaporates and sets, and this will be stuck on properly with no gaps. We'll see. The rest is great. I'm really happy with it. It's a fun process with acetone. It was the first time I ever tried it and I loved it. So, this is drying now. I need to think of the best way to scrape the sides. Because there is, as I mentioned, variation in the level between the side and the binding, and it will need to be leveled off. So yeah, I need to sharpen my scrapers. And just get on with it, I guess. So these sections will not be a problem. The tricky bit will be here. And I've got a whole selection of scrapers, so I should be fine. The big ones will be good for the big sections like this one here. Already looks better. Yeah, but I need to wait for this to be done first, and then I'll be just tidying up the whole thing. The top will be sanded, so I'm not worried about those divots that I did with the scraper going across the grain. They'll be fine. When I sand it, will be fine. And I think the next part after this is done will be the cavities, or sanding the back first flat because it's got many dents from handling while working on it. I need to do the covers. I have them here. These are offcuts of the top. They are the same thickness, so yeah, 8 mils, which is way too much. Way too much. 5 mil would be perfect for the back plates. So I'm gonna have to figure out a way to thickness them down. Probably planing them would be the best choice. I'm thinking that this wood is very pretty, and maybe I should not stain it black. What do you think? Because these covers on the back will be, if I stain the back, I'd have to stain the covers as well, which would defeat the purpose of using the same wood as the top, because that spalting will just disappear. So maybe it would be better to leave it as is. Yeah, it will be a bit darker because I'm planning on using probably true oil. It will go darker than it is now, but not much. I really like the color scheme now with the black thick binding. Yeah, I don't know. Help me out with making this decision. And then I'm thinking of binding the covers as well, so that this theme continues on the back as well. Still a long way to go, but I'm happy with the progress. I really appreciate your comments and just being here for this. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy it. I appreciate the advice because I'm not an expert. This is the first time I'm doing this sort of thing. So thank you very much for your help. Any suggestions are always welcome. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you next week. Love you, bye.